Hello everybody and welcome back to the Healthy Orange Movie Reviews. I'm your host, Bennett Campbell Ferguson, and what you are about to see is the sixth part in a discussion between me and my wonderful fellow film critics, Patrick Belin and Alli Bolt, about our favorite films of all time. I hope you enjoy it. Patrick, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, continuing off last time, my number 6 is a little bit of an outlier in this. It's The Little Mermaid. I wouldn't necessarily say that it's my favorite of that Disney generation of animation movies, but it represents that generation for me, like The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Lion King, that series of movies. But I highlight The Little Mermaid here because it kicked off that generation for me. And I still like it. It's a strong movie, so that's my number 6.
I'm really surprised because I didn't know that you were into that era, so I was
everything.
Nice. I can get behind that.
So that's a little bit of that's why it's even more of an outlier. You probably think I just have a sci-fi movie or something. It's you mentioned that it was the beginning of that getting into that generation of animated films for you. Mm-hmm. But is there something specific about the story that you feel particularly drawn to, or for The Little Mermaid?
Yeah.
Itself. It was a sweet, cute little story. I mean, it was younger, whatever, right? So
sure.
And I was still watching cartoons, so I liked it.
Hey, I mean, cartoons. I'm stuck on cartoons to this day.
I watched Beauty and the Beast like 2 weeks ago.
Nice.
I would still watch Beauty and the Beast.
All right, Alli, what's your next pick?
My next pick is also kind of the classical romance, but a bit different. My next pick is the most recent adaptation of Pride and Prejudice. The one featuring Keira Knightley. And I love this movie because more than anything else, it gives me the feel that I get when I read the books. It actually destroys my favorite passage of dialogue in the book. Completely destroys it. But even that can be overlooked. Just the music, the costumes, all of the dialogue and the sounds and the sets. It all gives me that same kind of feel from the books. And even more than the really strict adaptations like the BBC that may stay very strictly true to the letter of the book, I feel that this movie really captures the spirit of it and kind of the softness and the emotion and kind of how narrow everything is in terms of perspective and location. Just It really gets me into the feel of the moment, and I love that.
One of the things I think is so interesting about that movie is that, and I'm stealing the insight of a bunch of other critics here, but it's been described as kind of the sort of the Bronte Pride and Prejudice. You've got misty hills and rain. Yeah. It's a different vibe than the various BBC versions, which are kind of not as focused on the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Instead of, do you think does that do you think that enhances the story?
Absolutely, because so much of the story is in the stuff that doesn't happen. It's in the stuff that isn't really spoken. It's in Darcy and Lizzie kind of thinking through and coming to conclusions and experiencing things more than interactions or events, I feel like. And I think that the broad landscape shots and Lizzie swinging on the swing in the farm, I feel like that gives it a really good sense of all of the kind of contemplation and thought and kind of changing perspectives. And I feel like that's what's really the center of the book. It's coming to the conclusion that maybe you were wrong and giving people a second chance more than, oh, now we're going to go to a dance and now we're going to go talk. It's more in kind of the atmosphere of it, I think.
All right, I got a movie.
Okay.
This movie is comes from a filmmaker who means a great deal to me. A certain blonde Brit who in his youth traveled between Chicago and London.
I wonder who this is.
I know you're all scratching your
I'm
heads,
very curious.
but I'll say it anyway. It's Christopher Nolan's Inception.
Yes.
I know we did that last time, yeah, but
That was my guess last time, right?
right, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so we get a little overlap here. Inception means a lot to me for a lot of reasons. It was the Christopher Nolan movie that got me into Christopher Nolan movies, that made me fall in love with his philosophical dialogue, his beautifully polished action sequences. But more than anything, it made me fall in love with his sincerity and the compassion and emotion that comes through in his films. You have a heist movie, a science fiction movie, that at its core is about a man who wants to get back to his children, and but finds himself drawn towards these dreams and these fantasies that are preventing him from achieving what he wants to achieve, of actually doing something meaningful in the real world. Hence the scene at the beginning where Michael Caine says, "Come back to reality." And the journey that he takes to come back to reality is I think just one of the most thrilling things ever put on screen. Just the rush through hotel corridors, through snowy mountains, through the streets of Mombasa, quite memorably, and also of course the final scenes in limbo at the end where they're all floating around in unconstructed deep dream space. And but I think what it all comes down to is the final scene between Leonardo DiCaprio and Marion Cotillard when he says, "We had our time together, but I have to let you go." And I think that's what this movie is. There's so much controversy about was he awake at the end? Was he dreaming? And I think I'm glad there's that controversy, because I love Christopher Nolan's ability to start discussions. But I also think that it misses the point a little bit. I think this is a movie about the need to wake up, and I think the reason that the top is spinning at the end is not because Leo's still dreaming, but because the whole movie's a dream. It's a film. It's fiction. And the image of the top spinning on the table is Christopher Nolan saying to us, the audience, yes, it was great, it was grand, but now it's over and you need to wake up and live your life. Mm-hmm. So, Inception.
Well said.
Dankeschön.
That was a great argument.
Thank you.
I think you touched on something really important about Chris Nolan that I agree with. Is he's very good at, in spite of the settings, the material, whatever, he's good at creating characters that the viewers can attach themselves to and,
absolutely,
and relate
yes.
to.
Yeah,
because without that, if you were to take that away and think about his films, it's just a bunch of spectacle.
Yeah, it's just banging and crashing and cars smashing.
Not a lot of filmmakers can do it.
No.
On the opposite end of the spectrum, you have what's his name? Transformers.
Michael Bay?
Yes. It's all spectacle and what the hell's going on here?
Yeah.
Whereas Chris Nolan, he's good at tying the whole thing together into characters that you actually care about.
He is. Yeah.
And that's what makes the movie.
I totally agree. Yeah. I mean, the reason why the Dark Knight trilogy means so much is that you are so emotionally involved with Bruce Wayne, and you want him to triumph. It feels like it matters that this one person succeeds. And I think the same thing with Interstellar. I mean, God, the journey, it's not just to save humanity, but to save his children, to save the future of mankind. I mean,